National organizations try valiantly to reduce road fatalities, but are we seeing the whole picture? We asked an automobile collision reconstruction investigator with years of experience in reconstructing some of the worst road crashes on the island.
If I was to be asked for the number of accidents that I have done, and I've done thousands of them, I would say that perhaps the prime cause of our accidents in Jamaica is the behavior and the situation where our drivers do not have and never had gone to the examination depot for examinations and for training. The amount of taxes and illegal taxes and the manner in which they drive is another condition that sets up accidents very, very easily.
The hallmark of their trade is speeding, and that was to make quick cash.
It's clear that what you're seeing here is wanton disregard for the Road Traffic Act. And you will see passengers putting themselves at profound risk out there in the traffic environment to traverse these vehicles. We are also committed to ensuring that our children are road safety educated. So we'll ensure that the children themselves are properly educated so that they know the proper thing, what they must do out there.
The human behavioral element of crashes is overwhelmingly important. It's the number one and leading cause of crashes in Jamaica. We have to understand the circumstances where this is happening, why this is happening, understand that human behavior is what it is, and we now need to be able to account for this in our strategies. We have elements ranging from distracted driving. These are the cell phone users, but also the people who are quarreling with their passengers or distracted by a dog jumping across the seat. That's distracted driving. You have reckless driving. Speeding is a form of recklessness. So is overtaking a line of traffic. So is turning out of a side road without stopping or looking at what's going on in the road around you. These are reckless forms of driving. And then you have impaired driving. Impaired driving includes the drunk drivers, yes, but also includes the drivers who are driving when they're extremely tired. And this is something that we cannot simply say speeding, cell phones, and alcohol are the only causes of crashes. They are very significant, but it's something that we cannot discount.
Some of the crashes that we have had is a result of improper overtaking. The continuous white line is there to ensure that drivers don't overtake where there are continuous white lines.
While driver issues are dominant and are one of the main causes of crashes, there are other elements. There's the vehicle itself. The vehicle condition is important. There's the road. We need to understand the road conditions. Potholes create compromised driving conditions that can lead to crashes. Doesn't necessarily mean you're speeding. Some people speed through potholed roads, but potholes deteriorate your vehicle condition, lead to compromised driving and road safety issues in the long term. You have poorly designed roads that don't take drainage off the road, and so on. These are all elements that are real and contribute to a road safety issue.
Here is a road that has not been attended to for a considerable length of time. And when it is patched, it is barely put together. It doesn't last. This particular road that I'm showing you is Merrick Avenue. I'm going to show you here, as you'll see, a number of serious potholes. And this is an accident that occurred, and I'm going to take you through it. You'll see that there's a red car down there, and the red car is going to proceed along, coming along the road. And here he drops into a pothole, bursts a tire, and crashes into an unfortunate rider. These are situations that are occurring many times over daily in Jamaica. Here is another situation that continues to be ignored, and it causes the loss of life and limb. This is a road in the country area that has not been looked after again for the last maybe almost 30 years. Here you see evidence of a car that crashed, and I am reconstructing and simulating the accident as described to me by the driver. The road gave way and down he went with his family. Luckily, they survived.
Only in St. Anne do we find the roads being the problem. Here, road design, whether it's a road that has the material on the road causes slick driving conditions leading to the crashes, or you have roads that are poorly designed in terms of camber, in terms of the cut. These are things that can also lead to compromised driving conditions. Roads that are poorly maintained may also cause cars to swerve or lead to other types of compromised driving conditions. But when you look at the big picture across Jamaica, we find one very important element that should be very carefully considered, and that's the role of the pedestrian. Pedestrians in every parish, except for St. Anne, account for the most serious crashes. They contribute to crashes through their own behaviors, stepping off a sidewalk, walking in the street when there's a sidewalk provided for them, walking 2, 3, 4 abreast in a street when a sidewalk is provided for them, etc. These are significant. Once you remove the driver element, pedestrians emerge as the most significant contributor to crashes in Jamaica.
As a matter of fact, pedestrians accounted for 35% of the fatalities last year.
Here is a sample of a recreation of a pedestrian accident, and you'll see the car is going along. There's a truck parked here. The two people run across the road, and the lady was struck by the car. Again, we have situations where people are parking at corners, in areas where there are pedestrian crossings, and they are blocking the sight of the driver. You also have the situation with careless drivers that are streaming through.
There is one important thing to note as it relates to speed limits and driving on our roads. It is possible that you are driving within the speed limit and is driving dangerously. That is very important to note, because Nelson Mandela Highway, where we have St. Catherine bordering St. Andrew, leading out to Ferry Police Station, and in particular the vicinity of the Hydale schools. That area is very busy. So even though that stretch there is 80 kilometers per hour, it is not expected for a driver to drive at 80 if the conditions, time of day, requires him or her to drive slowly. The reason why a person might die or a person might hit, it is not just left with the speed limit. We have to look at the overall circumstance, which include the point at which the person decides to cross the road, the view of the oncoming driver. That is also very important, because you must expect that there are persons that are going to cross in that vicinity. And if you have a wide open area such as Nelson Mandela Highway, where you can see for a distance of 200 meters, then if there are children that are going to attempt to cross, the best thing is to slow and allow them to cross rather than try to speed and pass them, because that may result in a crash. And circumstances such as that will be looked into at any tribunal.
When we reconstruct accidents, we start with the facts. So we start with the facts where the two cars collided. We then need to consider from there the terrain that the vehicles ran over, and to decipher from that what was the friction surface as closely as possible. Now, the next element that we bring in is, of course, the diagram of the accident site. Extremely important, and these diagrams are done as accurately as possible. The vehicles are then placed into position where the point of impact occurred, and of course then we start looking at the statements of the drivers. We talk with the investigating police officer if it's necessary, and then the vehicles are allowed to run into collision, and we determine from there just how the accident occurred. There is a lot of information on vehicles in crashes. Number one, you have the very makers who crashed them, and from this information they have data on the various friction surfaces of every single part of the car. We search this information through databases, and we get the coefficient strengthening and frictions of the vehicle. And so we can put the vehicles, the models that are mathematically set up, into collision. And from there, we examine and work back the extent of energy that created that crush. And from there, we develop the velocities of the vehicles into collision.